Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Keeley, and
I'm Jen.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Two Queens, One Screen podcast, and we are so happy that you're here.
So excited.
Yes.
This is number one.
This is our first episode, everybody. So if we seem kind of weird and clunky, we will figure it out, and hopefully it won't look so weird.
We've tried this before, and now we're doing it in a whole new level with video.
Yeah.
So you're welcome, everyone.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And you know what I want to say? I think we should name all of our listeners members of our royal court, because I'm a queen, you're a queen, right?
Yeah.
And they're here to watch us, listen to us talk about our favorite, reality TV, our favorite
reality TV
series,
and
true crime, anything that's trashy and smashy on TV.
Yes. I think going forward, we're going to have to get into it. We're at a weird time right now, but you and I initially connected over the fact that I learned that you loved Vanderpump Rules.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And it's just, our relationship has just blossomed from there.
Yes.
And I think the next one that's going to come up for us is going to be The Valley, but that's not for a few months. So we're going to kind of work out our plans and how everything is going to flow for us. Just really, in my mind, I'm just prepping for that.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, if you love Vanderpump as much as a Vanderpump Rules fan could love it, which is pretty heavy. It's pretty deep. I mean, you are embedded in the show.
Yes.
You know what we're feeling when it's not on. It's probably not going to be on. And spin-off shows like The Valley, right, are just so incredible. Both Jen and I had no expectation for this show to be as wonderful, fantastic, amazing, lovely as it is. And we just can't wait. We can't wait to talk about it. We can't wait to watch it.
So this podcast is really to help us fill our time in really productive ways with other trash TV.
Yes.
And also other passion, especially for Keeley, is going to be the true crime components. And just fun docuseries that we're enjoying and need to talk about. This is that space for us to kind of get it all out.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's perfect.
Awesome.
So just to get us to know us a little bit better, Jen and I are related. If you can't tell, I am decades older than she is. I am married to her uncle. So my husband and her dad are brothers. And we only met 2 years ago, a year ago.
Not closer to 2 years.
Yeah.
We've been related. How long have you been married to Steve?
18 years.
Okay. Yep. So that's how long we've been related, but we've known each other less than that. But we immediately hit it off.
Yes.
And it feels like we've known each other forever.
Yes.
So
it's just great. Yeah.
It's great.
It's great. And here we are together.
Although also we should note, very far away.
Yes.
From each other. I live in Florida, in a suburb outside of Orlando. So it is gorgeous where I'm at right now. It's very green.
Is it?
It
though?
is.
No.
It's really
okay.
It's in the 70s. There's no humidity right now.
Right.
This is fall in Florida glorious. This
Oh,
is why
okay.
you live here. This is why people live here, is right
All
now.
right. Okay. All right.
Keely's not a fan.
I don't live in Florida. I live in Idaho. I'm in Boise. It's cold here. It is fall. Our high is 50, 52 today. It's a little brisk. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's not a swamp. I don't care for Florida. I love the people who live there. Well, my family that lives there. We'll distinguish that. I
we'll
visited
get into Florida
once.
in depth. Yeah. No,
I'm
you
good.
need to come. You need to come in the winter time when it's in the 70s and humidity is not a thing. You were here just
September.
In the literal thick of it when you can just take your hand across your face and it's just soaking wet.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing this remotely, and just because we can't get enough of each other and we can't get enough of TV.
We can't.
And
this is such
yes, we think that you want to hear what we have to say, right?
Right.
I mean, come on.
This is the distraction from our daily lives that we need.
Yes. And the disturbing amount of confidence that the both of us have that you want to listen to what we have to say because we think we're right and correct about our opinions of the shows that we've watched.
Which is funny because we're both so right, yet also not always in agreement.
Yeah.
It's impressive how we've managed that.
Very true. We'll like the same show, but like it in a different way, like the characters.
For different reasons.
Or not like the characters not great. Or love to hear the other one's perspective. Maybe someone didn't catch something that went on during the show. And I really like that.
Oh, that 100% happens.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yep. So let's see. I live in Idaho. I work in the judicial system. I have done that for 20 years. This is my 20th year. That is a very interesting job and I love it. I love the people that I work with. It is not happy to be there. I completely understand that it is not a fun place.
No.
Nobody likes it. And it's not as bad as maybe the DMV, right? Or your doctor's office, I would like to think. Again, there's that weird confidence going on, but I really like my job. I really find it interesting. And it's quite, sorry. There we go. It's quite the fun thing. And I have stories that I can't really tell because it actually has to deal with actual people, right? And I'll get in trouble. But that's what I do 9 to 5 is, So it's hard to explain my job without giving you examples or telling you specifically what I do.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not even so super clear on what you do. I just know that you are in the courtroom. I know you work with the judges, and I know that you get to hear some wild shit on a daily basis.
Yeah, I do. And I am lucky that I'm on that side of the desk and not the other side of the desk. Yeah. And not that I haven't gotten a speeding ticket or anything like that, because I have. I might have a little bit of a lead foot, and my husband might not like our insurance coverage because of it. That being said, I get traffic tickets here and there, but no, I really like my job. That's what I do. I have 1 child and 2 children, 2 stepkids from Steve's side. That everybody's an adult. Well, yes, everybody's an adult. They're all past the age of 18. And
legally, you work in the court system. Legally, everyone's an adult there.
Yes, legally, everybody's an adult. I have 2 grandkids, and I love to see them. They're the light of my life. So, that that's a little bit of me. I love stories about Sasquatch and Bigfoot. I love stories about aliens. Not that I believe in either of those things, that they're actually true. I love watching shows about them or what's the word? Documentaries about them. I love that. And I just think I love all that paranormal ghost stories. I love all that. Scary movies. Those are my favorite things. My husband, on the other side, can't watch a scary movie by himself, even if it's in the middle of the daytime and we're all at home with him. That's
not into it.
Nope, that's not fun for him. Meanwhile, I'm lying in bed on my phone watching The Terrifier at 2:00 in the morning, laughing, thinking it's funny.
I don't think I can do The Terrifier. I think it's too much gore. I also love a horror movie. I want ghosts. I want demon possession. I want scary murders. I don't want a lot of gore. My favorite documentaries, I've been really into cults. I love a weird cult documentary. Although my favorite documentary, top two, are both the guy that did The Tiger King and Chimp Crazy. I can't get enough of it. Those are my all-time faves. And then next to that, cults. And then after that, murder.
Yeah. Yes, I do love good murder. Considering what I do for my job, I do love to relax to a good murder, right? To sit there and watch these shows and just look at how stupid these people are when they commit these murders. Going, do you not know that they're going to figure that? Some of these people, that's why I like it, because they're so stupid. Most of the time they get caught, but I do enjoy watching the YouTube live trials, jury trials. I don't know if you've ever been into that.
You've told me that you do this. You've told me about this.
Do this. And I can't stress enough how wonderful they are. Can I just tell you, the best one by far to date that I have watched is last year, this young woman in Wisconsin. She killed her boyfriend, and
I was visiting you while you were watching this, and you were telling me in great detail.
This was the best YouTube jury trial I have ever seen in my entire life. The videos, the on-body that from the police that they showed her, the defendant, the way she acted in court, everybody on the stand. I mean, I loved it so much. She chopped off her boyfriend's head in the middle of a meth rage. Then she had a point of, oops, what am I supposed to do with this? So she chopped up the rest of his body, put it in suitcases and places around the basement, left his head in a bucket, and then left the house. This was her boyfriend's house. Mom came down the stairs and found her son's head in the bucket, called the police. The police didn't believe her until they showed up and saw the head in the bucket. Can I just tell you, the on-body video showed all of that on YouTube.
Which is...
I can't. It was incredible. It was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I want them to make a show about it.
I think they are. And she's like very, I don't know, aloof or just detached from the whole thing.
She is.
And she's, hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they are making a documentary about it.
Wonderful.
We are going to give it a Goog later, and
Wonderful.
That'll probably be on one of the future episodes.
Yes.
Keeley is passionate.
Wonderful. I love it so much.
So much. Another of our passions is Real Housewives and just reality garbage. I love a Bravo show.
Yes.
We also initially had a big connection over like 90 Day Fiancé. So when we've got some Last Resort is coming, We are going to get so deep into that. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good.
We love a good crazy. That's what Last Resort is, a good crazy.
Yeah. That's like the fun where no one's murdered, but every one of us could murder all of them. And
100%.
like, would the world be a better place? In most cases, yes.
Yes.
But I'm excited to get into those as well. And we have two categories. We've got our two main categories, and we're going to use this in a couple areas, which is trash and smash. Our two favorite things. So trash, garbage. Just what do we hate? And also just reality TV nonsense.
Yes.
And then smash, we effing love it.
Yes.
Also smash somebody's head in our murder shows. Right? So those are our categories. So
precisely.
Do you have any trash and smash for your week this week?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Well, my trash. I'm in love with the trashiest show on Hulu right now called Tell Me Lies.
You've told me about this.
It is super trashy. It's super softcore porn, and I'm fine with that. I mean, if you can skip through, there's really no context. I mean, they're having sex. It's a naked person, two naked people.
And they're all in college?
They're all in college. I mean, you could really fast forward through the humping and pumping and we're good to go. Really, there's no content. They don't talk about anything. They don't show anything related to what's going on. They're just all having sex. I mean, you need to know that these characters are kind of incestuous with each other, right? They're all having sex with each other. I mean, but above that, you don't have to watch it. So you could probably fast forward through it. I'm going to try and talk my daughter into watching it because it's so good. Maybe she could fast forward through the sex stuff. But it is so trashy. I can't. It's so good. Season 2 just came out. And so it's a fairly new show. There's not very many episodes. I am unwell. I'm unwell after watching it.
All right.
I had to get up and pace my house and walk around. I did not have phone numbers to my coworkers who watched the show to have any sort of discussion afterwards because I can't talk to my husband about it. And he's wondering why I'm a crazy person walking around the house because I have to get all my wiggles out and before I go to bed. You can power that through, right, in a week. You could power down and watch that show in a week. Again, if and when we talk about this show, the woman who writes the show, I'm scared for her. I literally wonder if she's in an asylum right now, what kind of mental health struggles she has, because these characters are so disturbing. They're so bad. They're so awful. They're so psychotic. And I'm not talking about like killing people or hurting babies or murdering animals or anything like that, but they are just so manipulative. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. And this is all in her head and she's writing it down on a piece of paper. And I'm worried for her.
Maybe she needs this show as an outlet. Maybe she needs this show as an outlet so she's not doing this in real life.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what this is.
Ugh. I don't know. I'm scared for her. I want to send her some sort of card, a Hallmark card or something to...
Here's a card and a gift card for BetterHelp.
Right. I don't know. You need to go to Red Robin and have a beer. I don't know, but how she comes up with this stuff, I'm scared. I'm scared for her. I'm scared for her family. I don't know. Like, I love Stephen King. It is not the level of Stephen King psychotic. You have to watch it to understand.
I'm going to. I am in the middle of my, during break time, downtime, when I'm by myself, I'm completely obsessed with, and this is this is my smash forever. Greatest show of all time within the Real Housewives franchise, in my opinion, and this is brand new opinion as of the last month, Salt Lake City. I can't stop watching it. I turn it on and I didn't even remember walking into the room, and I'm in front of it. I'm on season 3. I'm behind. I'm catching up. It makes no sense that any of these women are together, but I love it. I love it so much. We can't dive into episodes now because I'm still catching up, but at some point, that is the love that I have for these women, and also just the full disdain of, what the hell are you doing? You are all insane. Who lives like this? Who lives like this? And not even, we've discussed this before, not even in the sense of their extreme wealth, because they do have a lot more money. Yeah. But these are the moms in the carpool lane that you're like, come on, Diane. You know, like, I don't know anyone named Diane in the carpool lane, but I'm just throwing out a lot where they're in this weird insulated world that for some reason they can't get out of. I guess because they're surrounded by mountains. They can't get out of this. And so they just become this weird society that they've created, but I don't know. I love it. It's all cuckoo bananas. None of them are relatable in any real way except for Heather, who I want to be my best friend. But then I love all of them. I want to watch all of them. I think they're all insane. I'm sad. I miss Mary. I didn't think I would miss Mary because she's nuts. There's no part of her that lives on the same plane of reality that I do. But you need her there. You need her there to go, what the hell is going on? Oh, Mary Crosby is a goddess, and I love her, and I miss her. So I'm excited that she'll be back for season 4. Is what you promised me. Yes. But yeah, I am a mom. I have twin boys who are just like dipping their toes into puberty. And so my life is stinky and very high drama. And also they want nothing to do with me. They need all of my attention, but also want me to leave them completely alone. So I'm in that phase right now. And I'm married to my husband, Matt, who is the best and everyone loves him. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Matt is the best of us in this household. And he just puts up with just the insanity of me and my kids. And also the fact that I've adopted 5 cats in the last 3 years.
Yep, you heard it, everybody. 5.
I have 5.
5.
5. Do you want to start with our trash or smash? I kind of want to start with our trash. Yes. Because as a Florida resident, I'm not going to call myself a Florida native. I've lived here for 5 years. Yeah. Originally from Boise, then I lived in like the DC, Northern Virginia area, and now I live here. And we moved down here because we enjoyed going to Disney. I really liked the weather and the fact that it was green all day long. And we could afford a house. We got down here and all of my friends talked about the fact that I was going to become Florida woman. And I was, because I'm a weirdo, but in a fun way. And I was like, yeah, that'll be fun. And then I slowly have, in a way, become Florida woman in that I have just continued to bring strange animals into my house. And I found a possum a few months back, nursed it back to health. I saved its life. It now is at a zoo as a wildlife, oh shoot, what's the word? It's a wildlife diplomat or something. I don't know. He meets kids and stuff because he was totally blind. Oh. And I've saved snakes. I'm terrified of snakes. I've saved snakes. And we've got lizards. We have, and I just keep bringing in more cats. And my husband's like, stop it. But then I don't adopt all of them. I've been fostering. I've become that version of weird Florida. My dad moved down to Florida as well. And we used to catch cane toads in Palm Beach County because there are toads that will secrete poison. This is a very Florida thing. It's this horrific toad that makes this poison on its back that kills toddlers and dogs. And so we got to clear those out of houses. I got to help with that. So that's the kind of, and occasionally you see an alligator, and that's the Florida experience that I was looking for. But really, when you hear Florida man, I think, and this is meant in no way to offend anyone, but I think hillbilly, like, man that lives in the woods, maybe makes his own drugs, does a lot of DIY around his house that is not safe, and has wrestled wild animals. That's what no shirt. That's what and no shoes. That's a genuine thing here. There's a lot of dudes that just don't wear shoes, and it makes no sense to me. But that's what I think of when I hear Florida man. What do you hear when you hear Florida man?
Well, just if I can, before I answer that, you just completely won the argument to not live in Florida. The reason why I don't go to Florida, the reason why I don't want to return to Florida, all of those things is not normal. It's not natural. I don't want any part of it. I don't think humans on any level should live near that, with it, around it. I 100% believe Florida is supposed to be in the ocean, underneath the water, supposed to be inhabited wild. 100% by animals, some sort, beasts, insects, creatures, not people. People should not live in Florida. It is not normal. And you just won the argument to not ever go there. Anyway, what I think of when I think of a Florida man, what you described, the hillbilly, the no shirt, making your own drugs, is like northern Florida for what I hear.
Like Jacksonville.
Yes, near is it Alabama and Georgia up there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I picture. And southern Florida, like Miami, is more bougie, and we got a lot of money down there, and that's what I picture. So yes, but when you just say Florida, no, I picture swamps and alligators, and yes, a person living on, near, adjacent to a swamp in a van, making drugs and their own food or their own clothes out of the van. Maybe, I don't know. Not something that a human person should ever have to go through. No,
but it feels like a lifestyle choice that you're making, right? That's what that is.
Yes.
So there's a show, and you are the one who's turned me on to this, and I've watched episode 1. So we're going to talk about episode 1 today. And it is a different version of Florida Man, but I think what's amazing about it is you made a good point. This is what I think of upstate, like the top of Florida, and this is what I think. We are going to meet all of the different kinds of Florida people. And in this episode, we meet a few kinds of Florida people, which is really fun. So you described this to me as Tiger King meets Drunk History. And that is such a fantastic way to summarize how this is done, because you have the story being told by the actual Florida man. Yeah. At least in episode 1. Actual Florida man. And in this episode, that is Philip. And Philip is a young guy in his early 20s. He works for Walt Disney World, and he loves EDM. And he loves the rave music scene. Yeah. Which you and I are both too old for. I'm not going to raves. The music is not my thing.
I know what it is. I mean, the EDM, the DJ that he mentioned on the show, I had to look up, because I know who, like, Aoki Steve is. Like, I know who that is, but I didn't know who this DJ was that he was going to see.
Bass Nectar is I guess a big deal EDM, and we are not of that culture.
Nope.
We're not part of that community.
Nope. Nope. But that's
his thing.
wanted to get some money. And this show is on HBO Max, everybody. And it's called...
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, it's called...
Florida Man.
It's Florida Man, right? That's what this show is called. And it just came out, I don't know, this week or last week. So there's 3 episodes. They are 30 minutes long. It is get in, get out. It is a perfect length. It is... The comedic level is off the charts.
Don't be
It
gross.
is so wonderful because they have, like Jen said, they have the actual story, the person that the story is about telling the story. And then they have famous actors reenacting it in the most hilarious,
It's so good.
wonderful way that I just can't. Yeah. So he puts out an ad on Craigslist and he says, do anything. I need some money, right? I'll do anything for money.
Within reason.
Right. And people are responding
Within
back to
reason.
him, right? He's like, no sex stuff, no stuff with drugs.
Although everyone's but put it in my butt. And he's like, no, sorry, I can't. And I love that he had such polite reactions to it. People are sending him these gross things. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm not available for that. I can't do that. I'm sorry. And he's played by Sam Richardson, as a little tangent, who is, I love him.
I do.
He's in Detroiters. You and I have been talking about Detroiters. That just showed up on Netflix. Detroiters is so good. Detroiters also has Tim Robinson, who does I Think You Should Leave, which is also one of my favorite things. But Sam Richardson is a genius, and he's so hilarious. And he's in there acting everything out. And so as he's sorting through all of these Craigslist just gross responses, he gets one that says, hey, it's not sexual, but it's my greatest fantasy. Could you come do this thing for me? And of course, that guy's name is Steve, which just made my day.
All know every Steve in the world is a weirdo, right? Steves are weirdos. So, but if you need a little bit more context, that Philip he's a middle-class, normal-looking dude. He is not.
Yeah.
There is not anything jarring about him, right? He's just a normal, everyday guy. Episode 2, however, is more northern Florida. What you would think? Oh, okay. I can't just.
I'm
get
excited.
ready.
I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited to hear that.
So, but episode 1's normal guy. He's lovely.
Normal
He's
dude.
Just trying to make it through.
Just like young kid.
Yep.
Being an idiot.
Yep.
I think he actually references himself as there's 2 versions of himself.
Yep.
There's the one that like he's an adult and he's getting his, he goes to his job at Disney as a cast member and but then there's also this other version of him, which I think just took the front seat for him in this story, which is Fuck It Phil. And Fuck It Phil was like, I'm going to go do what Steve wants. And what Steve says, this is my greatest fantasy.
Yep.
I would really like you, and it's going to be safe, to cut off 3 of my toes, cook them, and eat them in front of me. And Phil wanted to go to a concert so bad that he went, I'm high off this idea of going to go see Bass Nectar, and I'm going to go.
I'm going to
do it.
Real.
I'm going to do it.
This
is a real story.
This is real. Like, we are not exaggerating. This is not dramatic. This actually happened in Florida, in Orlando. Jen, she's got to be so
Orlando.
proud.
It's not that far from my house. I can see it from my house. Right around the corner. And so they're showing in the episode these like ideas of like what he thinks he's getting into, and it's this gross scuzzy guy in this gross scuzzy apartment, and like it's the first 2 seconds of the episode and you see this apartment and there's like bugs crawling. And then he takes a friend with him to make him more comfortable and also to like up the ante for Steve. Steve really wants a lady to watch it happen. And
so he calls a high school friend. Hey, right? Who does that? Who calls and says, I haven't seen you.
Well, no, they hung out. They go to concerts together. And what I loved about it was she's like, he knew that I wouldn't judge him in that way. I think of myself as, no, I'm full of judgments, but I feel like I'm an open person. You can come to me and like, I'll hear you out. I'm going to probably talk shit about you to Keeley after, but I will hear you out. But if someone came to me and was like, can you come with me to cut this guy's toes off and watch me eat them? I don't know that I would be like, I'm here to support you.
Oh, it's a hard pass. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No.
My favorite thing is, so he takes her to this guy's apartment and they open the door, and who is Steve but Asian Jim from The Office? Just a regular guy. Just a regular nice guy.
He's a beautiful looking man. I love him so much.
He really is. He's a good looking dude.
Yes.
He was in he does stuff in Marvel too. Mm-hmm. He was on Wanda.
Yep.
That's a good looking guy.
Yep.
I don't remember his name, but he's good for him. But just sweetie. He's handing him beers. They're watching a basketball game. They're hanging out. And they're like, okay, so let's do it. Like, I figured out there's no arteries here, so it should be safe to do. Let's go.
Yeah.
And they get all set up. And poor Philip just wants to go to the concert. And so he gets himself into it. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. They have a safe word, though. And right as he swings, Connecticut gets said. And they don't do it. And then that's when Steve's like, I am a karate instructor for children. How will I explain my foot injury to these children?
The whole time I'm thinking, he's a karate instructor. Is his balance going to be affected because he doesn't have
100%.
The last 3 of his toes on his foot? I know your balance might be affected with your big toe, but the other side of your foot? That's what I was thinking. I'm like, he's not going to be able to do anything.
I think losing just your pinky throws people off pretty severely.
Yeah.
And then the other part of this, which is so delightful, is that the show for some reason brings in this woman as an expert. She's an intimacy expert from Sarasota. Sarasota is great. I love Sarasota. It's got one of the most gorgeous beaches in the world. It's really, really beautiful. It's fancy. It has one of the best museums in the world. The Ringling, I think it's the Ringling Museum, which has several museums on the property, and it's got this giant mansion that was his house. It's a very cool thing. So Sarasota, even if you hate Florida, worth a visit.
Okay.
But also, it's a little bit more artsy-fartsy there, a little more granola, like crunchy kind of vibes to it, right? And so then there's this woman who's an intimacy expert, which, what qualifies someone as an intimacy expert? I want to see paperwork on it because
I don't know. They're
showing her acting out how she would create that fantasy for someone, and you just see her playing with not a steak knife, like a chef's knife, and rubbing it on this guy's foot and being like, I'm gonna eat these are delicious.
It's kind of like a dominatrix submissive thing is what that made me think of. That's kind of what they showed. She's in this kind of a dark lit room, right? She has all of these accoutrements around her. There's a bed, right? The person's laying on the bed and she's got the knife with the foot. So I intimacy expert versus dominatrix. I don't know. I don't know the difference. Right?
She
not quite sure.
Delving into the fantasy of it. And you know what I thought? This is I'm in therapy, everybody. So I put on my therapist hat. And
everybody's in therapy. You have to be.
I was like, I think this is a child wound for Steve. I think he needed to feel more loved by his mom. Because why would someone want someone to eat his toes? And then it clicked for me. So when my children were teeny tiny, little babies, I used to put their feet in my mouth and nibble on it. Like, not hard, but I wanted to. There were honestly times where I was like, I can't bite down. I'd want to bite down. And Matt was like, that's a hormonal thing that a lot of people experience with their kids is they genuinely have an urge to eat their children's feet.
Okay.
So what if this is his mom wasn't affectionate with him? They didn't have a good connection when he was a baby.
I love that leap. We went from here to here. I love it. That was amazing. Whatever that was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
that
you.
was awesome. Get
There's,
it.
I feel like sexually, and I'm sure the lady from Sarasota, Lucia, the intimacy expert, could have given us a little bit more background on this.
Sure.
But I think that there is something about what you're lacking or like what you need, you'll build into your subconscious sexual needs. People who have praise kinks, it's because they weren't told that they were good enough, so they want to hear that they're good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the opposite, if they feel too powerful in their day-to-day life and they just need to feel, then that's what a dominatrix who takes their money and makes them like her feet, maybe that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too vanilla, but I love hearing about everyone else's.
Sure.
I want to understand it. Because
Sure.
I think it's bizarre.
Well, people
and I find
can have,
it so...
sex kinks, right? You can have a kink
Mhm.
that, you want your toes sucked or you want them kissed or whatever. I get all of that. That's totally fine to have something right in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what she kind of does more than the subdom thing. But the
She
cannibalism
provides
part, right? Just eating other people is what threw me off.
Yeah, she's like creating a sacred space with no judgment and shame. I think we should bring more shame back.
Oh,
I
lovely.
know that shame is not healthy. Thank you, Brene Brown. But I think just in general, I wish people had a little bit more internal shame. But if we had more internal shame, would we do a podcast? Maybe not. I don't know.
Whoops. Probably not.
Yeah, she's a little taste of Florida. There's a place in Florida, maybe it'll be on the show, that's north of me called Casadega, which is one of the points of vibration in the world where there's a lot of vibration energy.
Okay.
I haven't been there yet, but there's a lot of woo-woo. That's the word, woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
There's psychics there, and mediums, and lots of, you take your crystals there to get charged.
Yeah.
I think it's all very interesting. I don't necessarily subscribe to it, but I'm definitely not saying no to any of it. But I also hear some of it and I go, huh.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you want to put that glass of water outside for the full moon,
do it.
And you need it charged, do it. That's awesome.
Yep.
But that's kind of the vibe. That is a whole separate area of like weird Florida-ness. And I feel like Sarasota, Lucia probably drives back and forth.
Sure. I can see that.
Is what I get.
I can see that.
But the moral of the story is, he just keeps almost doing it. And then because he's already psyched himself up, he's trying to convince the guy to let him cut off his toes.
Yep.
Because he wants that money.
Yep.
They signed a contract, which you work in the court system. Is a court going to have that contract be legally binding?
No,
you can't.
No, I don't think they're going to enforce any sort of cannibalism or any sort of mutilation of the body. I'm pretty sure there's a weird word for it. It's called mayhem, which is weird. I know if someone is charged with cutting off a person's body part, they charge them with mayhem. So there's a little that you found out today. Anyway, no, they're not going to make sure that goes through. But that was very fun. Yes, the moral of the story is he did not cut off the toes. He did not eat the toes. Steve kept screaming out Connecticut. Phil was honestly upset that he didn't do it. He
doesn't get to do it.
Yes. They leave.
They leave. And the whole thing is, it made me laugh because, he was going to get $4,000.
Yep.
He gave him the $4,000.
Yep. Who
has $4,000 to not do that?
Sure.
He didn't think of any of it. He got so excited about this idea that his fantasy is finally going to come true.
Yep.
But then once your fantasy, whatever your version of that, once it starts actually coming true, you're suddenly repulsed by it.
Yep.
And that's what was happening to him. And I didn't know that I don't understand why that's a thing, but I mean, I guess when you're faced with losing toes, he didn't consider I'm a karate teacher by trade and children look at my feet and I need them to look at my feet to learn karate.
Yeah.
He didn't think of how will I explain this to my family? I don't know. I just love it. And then the friend that went with him went with Philip to go cut off Steve's foot.
Yep.
She and Philip in exchanging this experience with each other, it connected them in a real deep way.
Yep.
And I think they became boyfriend and girlfriend that night.
They did. It was trauma bonding at its finest.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. They are.
We've never felt this way about each other.
Boyfriend and girlfriend. Everybody. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
And the best part about it was the very last second of this episode.
Yep.
So skip ahead.
Yes.
If you don't, spoiler alert.
Yep.
10 seconds.
Here we go.
He goes, at the very end, they've tied it all up. Every once in a while, Phil will still, when he needs money, will still post on Craigslist. And every once in a while, Steve is like, will you please cut off my toes? And he's like, do you remember me? And he's like, oh yeah, do you want to come do it? And they're like, no.
No, Steve.
Silly.
Yep.
Weird. And then they tie it up in a little bow. And then Phil, our sweet baby Phil, who is probably, mid-20s at this point?
Yeah.
Says, what if one day I'm trying to get a job and they're like, hey, you're that toe guy.
Yeah. The documentary.
And the documentary crew goes, you didn't think about that until just now?
Yeah. Whoops.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Phil.
poor Phil.
Oh.
Poor Phil.
It's 30 minutes.
Yep.
It's a wild ride.
Yes.
And it's delightful.
Oh, and
it's not.
You forgot about the whole concert. So he gets the $4,000.
Oh, I forgot.
He gets the $4,000. Mm-hmm. They go to the concert.
In Colorado. A
yes.
whole big flight away.
Yes, it's a good 7 hours away, right? They go to this concert. Mm-hmm. The concert gets canceled because the DJ gets arrested and charged with some essay.
Sexual
yes.
assault on two girls.
Some essay.
And then
action.
And Phil was like, I can't be part of this.
Yes.
He's like, that's something I just can't stand for. Which I appreciate that, Phil. You know, one of the good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also,
yeah.
And there's actually, everyone should watch it. There's a couple other things I wrote notes about, but I forgot. Like, $4,000. It was originally only going to be $2,000. Mm-hmm. But then Phil gets there and remembers that he's a vegetarian.
Right. He's like, I'm going to have to eat this. There are actual photos of the actual...
They're like taking pictures of each other.
Yeah, Steve's on the floor on his tummy. Then they have this medical grade, all of this stuff on
it looked like a puppy pad.
Yeah.
It looked like a big puppy pad.
That he's laying and he's got his feet up. Yeah. Behind him.
A hefty sack.
And the knife, and Phil takes a selfie with the knife. Oh my God. It was fantastic. These pictures were awesome. It was so
I love
great.
that exists.
It was
what
so
a
great.
Weird world we live in.
It's
what a
so
weird...
great. It was exactly what I needed this week. 100%. I can't get enough of it. It's so good. You have to go watch it immediately. And if you need to watch all 3 like I did because I couldn't stop, do it. The second episode is my personal favorite, and we will go over that. But I can't wait for Jen to see that and the explosion she's going to have. My husband and I cannot stop quoting it, cannot stop talking about it because it is that fantastic.
I'm excited.
I just can't. The level, it's like up here. It's so great.
So they're easing us in with the toe eating. The toe eating, guys, is level 1, and we're about ready to just like
yes. And the entire time I'm thinking I'm going to watch this man cut off this man's toes and eat them. That's what I'm
Yeah.
psyching myself up to watch. And you don't see any of that, thank God. But
No.
no, I thought, this is Florida. He's going to full on cut his fucking toes off, and that's it. This is what we're doing. It was amazing. It's amazing.
But the answer is Florida's a weird place, and this is a great way to get a little taste of it. Because there's a lot of Florida that's real insane and suck ass, but the people are worth the visit.
Yep. Yeah, you just don't need to go. I'm good. You don't need to go, everybody.
Oh, I live next to Disney, and I'm going to go see you in Boise. So you're not going to come see me again.
I know.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
So that is our delightful trash that we just rolled around in.
Yes.
And we loved it.
Yes, it was beautiful. You should watch it.
Oh, are you ready to switch gears and get into our smash?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. It's true crime, and it's on Netflix. Everybody, it's called I Am a Killer. So there are 5 seasons of this. We're going to talk about season 5, the newest season. And really, like I told Jen, you don't have to have context. You don't have to watch all the other seasons to know what's going on. I mean, the promos just tell you, right? This is a convicted murderer, and this is them telling their story of the murder. So it's really interesting that way. Like Dateline, right? I love a Dateline. I love a 2020, right? We love those. True crimes, forensic files, all those are really good. But those are more of the police side of the story and leading up to the story and what was happening in the background.
It's all the background. It's all the background information.
Yeah.
It's all the history of it.
Yeah.
It explains to how we got there.
Yeah.
And this one's so interesting because while it does have that pieces of it, each episode is a one-off. You're not having to, you can go in the middle of the season. It's totally fine.
Yep.
But then it goes more importantly from when it happens forward.
Yes.
And what is the experience of that killer? It's really the killer's experience after.
Yeah.
And what's really hit me the hardest is I am so swayed by whoever is telling the story at that time. I think your probably experience is a little bit different watching these. But I go in and I'm like, oh yeah, this guy had such a rough life and look at how great he is. And it was just a 2-second accident. And I think it's really interesting and helps give a broader perspective of how we treat murderers. Sure. And what the process is for rehabilitation and what do we owe these murderers? And there's so much nuance to it. And can someone be rehabilitated? Yeah. Does someone deserve, if you can be rehabilitated, do you still deserve to even have access? Because you still did this horrible thing. Yeah. So where do you land on that? And I think I've watched this and ended up actually having less strong convictions one way or another about any of it. And I'm thinking that after watching a few of them, and I'm going to go back and watch previous seasons as well, but this season 1 starts out with Jamel. Yep. And Jamel, I think, is kind of, for me, a little bit of a one-off. Like, I think I find him very compelling. Yeah. While also going back and forth the whole time. Jamel's really interesting because he's got 20 years in prison, but he's coming up for being eligible for probation. Yep. Is that the word?
Parole. Yeah.
Parole. He killed his girlfriend. They were they met in college or high school. She ends up getting pregnant. They have a baby. And she comes from a pretty nice, normal family. He comes from a rougher background. He brings up a lot of toxic masculinity. Yeah. There's a lot of drug culture, a lot of culture built around like selling drugs, yep. making money, presenting yourself in a very rough, strong manner. But he also describes himself as a creative person mm-hmm. and a very engaged emotionally person, and also super ambitious. And you see him right now, and if I saw him walking down the street, I would assume he's, probably in the arts. Like he looks like, like he would teach English at a junior high or something. Yeah. Like he just seems like a cool guy, pretty good looking, carries himself very well, and speaks really mm-hmm. Articulately about his feelings yeah. and articulately about his perspective of things yeah. and in a very emotional manner. Yeah. Like emotionally intelligent manner. Yeah. Which I think you could probably, we talked about this before, the programming that happens while he's been incarcerated since he killed his girlfriend.
Yes.
But they start out talking about how he's really learned more about himself. He got very involved in the church. A girl that he went to high school with became a pastor. They reconnected while he was in prison. Now they are married mm-hmm. and she's a pastor, and they have reconnected with his ex-girlfriend's grandparents. Her grandparents have forgiven him. He's creating a relationship with his daughter.
Yeah.
Now, who, she's an older teenager, and they're trying to make all of this happen. He is creating this project called the Danielle Project. The girlfriend that he murdered, he named it after her, as a way to basically help teach men about toxic masculinity and how that's hurting them, and ways to become better people for the community and themselves. And he calls himself a thought leader. He wants to be a thought leader, which made me feel a little weird. I don't know. The fact that he's named it after this person, that he's like, I want good to come out of this horrible thing I did.
Yeah.
And it sounds great until you start getting into
what happened,
how it actually happened.
Yep.
Because if you look at him just right now,
yeah,
for the most part, I go, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What was your perception of who he is right now as he's seeking parole?
Well, like you said, he is extremely articulate. He's very well spoken. He's very into himself in thought process, meaning he's not minimizing why he's there, what he's done. He's not minimizing the fact that he's taken a life. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't present any of that. He doesn't present, they don't know why I'm here. I never did anything wrong. Everybody else is wrong. I'm right. He doesn't do or present any of that.
No, he's not a victim.
Mm-mm.
Like, he doesn't present himself as a victim, which I mean, that's important.
No,
if you were
of
trying
course.
to.
And he does, well, he doesn't come off, at least for me and my job, come off saying things that he knows people want to hear. So there's a lot of buzzwords, for me at least, that a person of higher authority than him, or in a different position that's going to grant him parole in some way, or even a family member, right, of this tragedy. He's not saying things that these people want to hear. What he's saying, he truly believes. He truly believes in himself. He believes he's done something wrong. He believes he wants to help other people. He's not calling the prison system bogus. He's not calling the judicial system bogus. He doesn't say any of these things, which is all good. Those are all green flags for me. Those are all things that you want to believe what he's saying, right? And he does come off genuine and believable and likable, right? He's
super likable.
Super likable. He's got a nice personality, and I liked him, right? I'm not saying that I don't like him in the past tense, but there are questions. So he tells his version of the murder, and then in the show you have the police. They tell their version of the murder. And what I like about this show is most of the time they're not the same thing. And you're like, oh, whoops. So yeah.
He framed the night of the murder as he was trying to make money.
Yep.
He'd gotten back into the drug game. He'd gotten out of it, but now he's got this baby to support.
Yep.
The baby is brand new.
Yeah, she's 3 weeks old. Mm-hmm.
Oh, 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
So she's this brand new baby, and he's got to go make money. Somebody said something and it set him off, and he's got this shotgun. He's going to go scare them with it. He's high.
Yep.
His girlfriend's trying to calm him down.
Yep.
He points at her to show her what he's going to do. He shoots her in the face.
Yeah.
In the face.
Yeah.
He said that he didn't think that she was serious for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It took him a second for his brain to wrap around that. He's 19 with this 20 years old when this, 19 or 20, and he leaves.
Yep, he leaves.
And he frames it as, I was scared, I was selfish.
Yep.
He left the baby in a car seat on the bed.
Yep.
And disappears.
Yep.
Then you find out he went to another woman's house to create an alibi of where he was so he couldn't have killed her.
Yep.
And he slept with that other woman that night.
Yes.
So this woman who he says that he loves, he murders her.
Yeah.
Whether it was an accident or not. And I do believe, I do think that it was probably an accident. However, we also find out he was abusive, and he does own up to being definitely verbally abusive to her and physically menacing.
Yes.
And you find out from her aunt, who has not forgiven him.
Yes.
That she had called her aunt earlier that day and said, I think I'm going to leave because this is scary. And her aunt felt reassured, okay, this is good. She's getting out of this. And then that night she gets murdered. And no one had heard from her. So her mom goes with her little brother, who's 11 years old.
Yeah.
Walks in with her 11-year-old brother. The baby's crying on the bed. The baby's been alone in the room with the dead mother for 18 hours.
Yeah.
Because he didn't call in. He didn't let anyone know where that baby was. He wasn't answering any phone calls. Who knows how long it may have taken for her to go check on her.
Yeah.
But she goes and checks on her, and they find her. So her mother found her. Her little brother found her. And that baby was by itself. Yeah. And he looks at it, and he owns up to it. And he's like, I was selfish. I was scared, and I made horrible decisions. But there's, I don't know, that part of me that just goes, unforgivable.
Yeah.
If you fucked up, you would do this. But then also, I've never accidentally shot someone in the face. So
no.
I don't know. But I would think that, like, as a father, as a human being, you would get, I don't know. So there's this whole other side of him that is real, that is shitty. It took him 2 years for him to acknowledge that he had done those things. Yeah. So it's not like he owned up to it and then went through it. It took him a long time before he before he actually did fess up. And are things better now? He's, I guess, going through the process of, you know, reconnecting with his daughter, and his daughter who he left in that room by herself. So she didn't actually know that he was her father until she was 15 or 16 years old. Yep. She thought her grandmother was her mom.
Yep.
Her grandmother just never said anything about it. And just,
I mean, think about that. Think about that as a mother. You're raising your murdered daughter's infant child. I mean, that is so traumatizing and tragic for you. Why would she? I'm totally on her side. I'd be like, I wouldn't tell her either. Why would you? Yeah. I mean, it serves no purpose. What purpose is it going to serve? Right? A 3, 4, 5, 10, 12-year-old. It doesn't serve a purpose. Their brain is too young to wrap around and retain and understand that information. It just really is. You just can't, you can't have that conversation with them at that young of an age, right? At 16, 17, whenever they told her, she can then understand that, go through that grieving process, and then decide for herself if she wants to have a relationship with her dad, right? If she wants to have a relationship, you know, with the side of the family that is not talking to her dad, because she is her own independent person. Like her aunt, right, is not having a relationship with her dad at all. She believes that the system has created who he is right now, the prison system. And I can understand that on some level. I can understand that, right? All the programming and everything that they go through, everything that they tell these prisoners, inmates, defendants, whatever you want to label them, to say to the person listening, the person looking at them. I totally get where she's coming from. She's not ready to forgive, forget, whatever, however you want to label that process. She's not going to go there. And that's her right to choose that path. But the daughter, the mother, and like you said, the grandparents have all decided to forgive, obviously not forget, but to forgive so they can move on, right? So they don't have that hate in their heart, and they can do that. And that's what works for them. And that's perfectly fine. If you have to go through that.
I got the impression that one of the other things that kind of happened here that makes you kind of go, oh, is that someone from dad's side reached out to the daughter and sent her his website. So she has no idea he exists.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden gets all of this information.
Yeah.
So even the mom / grandma is like, I think they should have talked to me.
Yep.
I think they should have reached out to me and we could have figured this out. Instead, it was sent straight to her. 100%. And I think that sucks. And I think that because her granddaughter does want to have a relationship, she's being as supportive as she can be. She's going, okay, you take the lead on this. I think herself, I don't think if she never had to face him or acknowledge him, I don't think she ever would have.
Yep.
And I honestly don't blame her.
No, for sure. I'm out. Yep.
Yeah. But I also, you know, and now this daughter, the only version of her father that she's seeing is this reformed version that's gone through this process.
Yep.
And so you have, standing from the outside, you have these conflicting feelings of where, fuck that guy.
Right. His daughter doesn't know him as a drug addict. She doesn't know him as a liar. She doesn't know him as a thief. She doesn't know him as all of these things that he was when he was 19 and 20 years old when this all happened. She doesn't know him as that person. And that's good or bad. I don't know. However you want to think about that. But you are absolutely right. She only knows him as this person, and she's basing her relationship off of this person. And that's okay for her to do, right? The rest of the family knows him as the drug addict, as the abuser, as the thief, right? As the criminal, as that, all these other labels that he actually was. He was all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay for them too. But I really like this show that way, because you can hear after the murder, after the fact, and their side of how they saw what happened. And then the family can
Mm-hmm.
turn around and say, no, I don't believe him at all. He's not
Mm-hmm.
reformed. He's still a liar, and I don't trust him, and I'm not going to, right? Or, you know what? I have forgiven him and I'm moving on, and that's what I'm doing for my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
love to see all of that. And as a viewer, you can decide who you believe, what side you're on, right? Who you think is credible and who you don't think is credible. Like Jen said, for my job, I have very distinct things that I look for in a person when they're telling the story or who they're talking to. And I can tell a lot whether I believe them or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those people that you can believe easily. And he's probably reformed. He probably, like I said, I don't doubt that he believes what he's saying. But again, the difference is when the person gets out of prison, they can do all the right things inside prison, right? Go to all these classes, do all the programming in the world, get A+ for everything, create all of these projects that you will. They get out into society again. I mean, he's been behind bars for 20 years or whatever it is now, right? 18
Mm-hmm.
years or something. That looks completely different. Actually getting out and being responsible, right? To pay rent or pay mortgage or get a car, right? Pay your cell phone bills, get up on time to be to work on time, get a job, right?
Yeah.
All of that looks
I'll be
completely
honest.
different.
Yeah. When it's not structured and forced upon you.
Yep.
Yeah. I think his wife is going to do a lot of that for him.
Yeah.
But is he going to be resistant to it, I wonder?
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know.
Sure. They have to have coping skills to be able to deal with that, and right, a lot of therapy to be able to have those
Mm-hmm.
right things to do, whether it's religion is his coping skill, or artistic something that way, or teaching, or whatever he's going to go do to
Mm-hmm.
ease, right, being overwhelmed or having anxiety, or all those things that everybody goes through on a daily basis. And we don't, right, turn to drugs, and we don't kill people, and we don't sell guns and do all that other stuff. So it just looks different on the outside is my point. And I know he has a wife, right, that can support him and do that. And a lot of people don't. They just are by themselves because their family has said, no, thank you, I'm done. And that's fine. Yeah. But they can do all the right things inside, but it's totally different when they get outside. They have to ease into that slowly, I think. And it has to be their own personal process. Like, you can't just throw them in and expect them to be able to do that and be fine. There's no way. There's just no way.
No.
I don't think.
And it's such a different world now than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, forget it.
But I left that episode with, and I think as we get farther in, we'll talk about more of them. Other ones where I feel more confident about feeling one way or the other. With him, I just keep questioning, is there a point of reform where you go, okay, you're allowed to go live your life even though you took hers?
Yeah.
Like, where does that exist?
Yeah.
And
that's hard.
It's so hard.
That's so hard. Because does he deserve it, right? Where's the level of where, how do you calculate that being deserved of that, right? What's her life worth? Is her life worth him getting to have all of these things now? I don't know. Right? Or is it not?
They did a 5 months later, and they let him listen to the responses from different people in her family. And that's where he was like, yeah, I was abusive.
Yep.
And I can understand why she's so angry. It makes sense that she's so angry because I was selfish and self-centered. I don't blame her for having those feelings. It makes sense that she has those feelings towards me. And he accepted that. But I wonder if, when he gets out, like what that looks like. Because he hadn't gotten out yet. It just hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, they were still waiting.
I do like that they let them go back and hear things, and they let the family members hear what he sounds like now.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of, especially her aunt, was never going to listen to anything he had to say.
No.
But she did hear it and go, okay, well, here's how I feel. And they can hear each other without having to have like a conversation, which is, I mean, I know talking it out is important, but I think, that's an amazing way to hear someone, is to not be able to interrupt them.
I
love that setup.
I loved that they did that, because she still the aunt still goes back. He left his 3-week-old daughter. I'm out. He left his 3-week-old daughter. I'm done. That's it for me. Nope, I'm not going to forgive him.
And everyone has a different line of where it was crossed and can't go back.
And that's okay.
And I'm realizing I don't know where my line is.
I don't either. That's so hard, especially as a mom. I want to think I would be forgiving. As a mom, my instinct, my knee-jerk reaction is, nope, I'm done. It's over. Nope. For me personally, I have to completely remove myself, not ever see, hear, or look at that person again, ever. I'm not going to forgive you.
I don't know.
I'm not going to forget. That's what my knee-jerk reaction would be, but I don't know. I don't know
either. So more of that, and I'm excited to talk about more of them because there's some weird stories in this that I'm excited to take apart with you.
These inmates are not all like him on this show. There's a lot of episodes that are the complete opposite of what we just described, which is nice to watch, think about, listen to, right? They're not all, wonderful, I guess, like him. I don't know.
Not all murderers are great guys.
No.
Not all murderers have the ability to self-reflect.
No.
Like Jamel.
Yeah, buddy.
Ugh. All right. Well, those are our shows. That's what's been keeping us nice and busy and distracted from our daily lives.
Yes.
And we will have a couple new ones next week.
Yep.
And I miss you already. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yes, I miss you too. It's good to see you again. I love to see your pretty face. And this is so fun for us. And we hope that you listen again. And we promise we will get better at this.
It's only going to get better.
It is.
It's only going to get better. All right. Well.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.